So we all have our favorite games of all time, and after finishing Skyward Sword, I look at it now and I think it's time I did a list. I'm not going to do these often, as it's really just going to be something around prevalence, but you know what? Once in a while, it's not bad at all. So, let me get into my favorite games of all time. There's only 10 of them, and there's a lot that I like, so I really had to struggle to get a lot of these done. Number 10 for me would be World of Warcraft. I've synced countless hours into World of Warcraft since 2008 in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion when I joined. I even had a computer that was terrible. I couldn't even run it on low at anything above 30 frames per second. Even then, I was looking at the ground to hit 30 frames. Looking at anything else, I was struggling. But I loved playing it. It was a sense of wonder, a sense of exploration that I couldn't grasp that when I was little, and the more I play it, the more I've come to understand the lore, and it's a game that I constantly go back to time and time again. I love World of Warcraft, and I'm very much looking forward to the Warlords of Draenor expansion that is coming around this November. It's just a game that I keep going back to, and it somehow managed to keep me occupied for 7 years of my life. Not even 6 years. 6 years, right. 2014, 2008, that's 6. Right. Number 9 is a game from my childhood, Castlevania Bloodlines. Not everyone's first choice. It was the first Castlevania game I ever played on the Sega Genesis. It was such a blast to do, and I put hours into that game when I was little. Never beat it until I was much older because it was so difficult to me. I always loved playing the guy with the spear, but whenever it came to really getting into the game, and now that I'm older, I could definitely appreciate the whip because that was the item they kind of wanted you to use in most cases, because it was more balanced for the whip than it was for the spear. Nonetheless, I loved playing that game, and the iconic music in that game, to me, screams such great memories of playing through it. Number 8 is not everyone's first choice when it comes to the Halo franchise, but Halo Reach really stuck out to me. Personally, I was playing through it. It was the first Halo game that I sat down and said, let's get every achievement for it. And I played the single-player game, beat it Legendary Solo, and got every single solo achievement. Still missing some in the multiplayer, but that's a lot more random than it is I'm able to grasp it out. I probably could get a party of people if I really wanted to, but I don't usually like bothering people unless they offer for me to do it, so I guess some of my achievements will remain there for the time to come. Whatever. I really greatly enjoyed playing through Halo Reach. The storyline that came with Reach's downfall, you knew it was the end before you even began playing, and somehow they still managed to surprise you in a few deaths and every now and then. And the final scene in Halo Reach evokes so many good memories. I mean, it was a great game through and through. And the multiplayer was Bungie's last hurrah. It was great. Invasion, I just poured so much time into and loved every minute of it. Number 7, Dragon Age Origins. Oh my god, I loved playing Dragon Age Origins so much. It was one of the first mature RPGs that I really delved into from BioWare. I had played Mass Effect a little bit, but mostly it was my father who delved into Mass Effect, and I kind of looked at it back in 2007 and was kind of like, it's okay. I sat down and played it every now and then, but the Xbox 360 was in the living room, and I didn't really like playing in the living room due to my vision. But when he gave me the Xbox 360, when he moved on to the PS3 for his sports games, I got to play Dragon Age Origins about that time, and oh my god, did I fall in love with that game. So much fun getting through all the different storylines, seeing how things unravel, the deep system that was very simple to play but hard to master, the positioning of the different characters, the characters themselves, all so good. I just love that game. For the record, my first playthrough and my favorite playthrough still has to be a Dwarf Commoner Rogue. I'm not a stranger to the Zelda formula style of game, and when it comes to Darksiders, I like to refer to it a little jokingly, The Legend of Zelda Darksiders. It's a blast of a game where the deeper combat mechanics of a game like God of War mixed in with the puzzle solving and world exploration of the Zelda franchise. A bit more linear than Zelda games in most cases, with a bit more Metroid-style backtracking was really fun to do, and the plot was really nice. I haven't beaten the sequel yet, though I'm pretty sure I'll like that more than the first game. I 100%ed the first game because it was just a pure joy to do. Playing as War with that huge sword made me feel with a huge sense of power behind him. It was just really meaty, really gory sometimes, and that's not the reason I love it. The plot was still there, and everything was just wonderful playing through it. Number 5. Oh my god, I drooled over the days of the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. I played the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion first in 2007. That was the one game I made the exception to play in the living room whenever I could get the chance. Played Oblivion a ton, but when I went back on my PC that I had just upgraded for the first time, I was given Morrowind, and I instantly fell in love with it. The deeper RPG elements, most of the complexity that was stripped away in future Xbox 360 titles for Oblivion and Skyrim, because they were catering more to a console audience. While Morrowind was definitely catering to a console audience in the port, the PC version seemed to be far less sacrificed. It was just so much fun going through the different dungeons, seeing the Dwemer ruins. The various RPG elements were always a lot of fun. The fact that your spells could fizzle always made me realize that I need to train. Going out there without training is a bad idea. I need to do some tasks, get some gold, and train my skills or I will get slaughtered pretty easily. And that's something that I really loved about Morrowind, the sense of danger. In games like Skyrim nowadays, while I'm not the biggest fan of Skyrim, a lot of the deaths can come from bullshit mechanics, such as the instant kill. Even though you're healed back to full health from pausing, if the animation of a death kill is happening, you're dead. Doesn't matter how healed you are. Number 4 is a game, the franchise that I loved, and it was very hard picking a winner, but I had to give it to Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I am a huge Smash Bros. Fan. Loved it since I was a child, got really good at it as a kid, played Melee all the time. I wasn't really social back then, as I was very isolated back in my younger life in New York City, but it didn't stop me from loving the hell out of Melee. And when Brawl came out, I was even more smitten. I was following it since 2006, back when they only had a few fighters announced, and they said it was going to be released in 2006, but it was delayed for 2 years. And finally, I went to the midnight release for Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and voila, was I not disappointed. Playing through the Subspace Emissary, unlocking all the characters on Intense in Classic mode, Target Smash, prepping myself through all kinds of challenges. And then the online play I sunk so much time into because it was just so much fun to do. It's a shame that it's barren now, or I would still be playing it. Super Smash Bros. 4 is on its way, and I have no doubt that that'll take the cake for me again. Number 3, this is where things start getting a little more difficult. The Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings, I would have to give this one to. I loved playing through the original Witcher, and it was such a blast. It got a little repetitive every now and then due to the combat mechanics, which was kind of a little jarring sometimes, and some of the mechanics weren't really polished. But in The Witcher 2, I was smitten. The graphics are amazing. This is a game that's 3 years old and holds up today without even a moment's thought. It is gorgeous. The gameplay is more similar to an action RPG than it was the original intended rhythmic-based combat that was in The Witcher 1. The story is a little shorter than the first one, but it is just as deep, with the choices you make really mattering in this one. A lot of the gameplay changes based on your choices, and a lot of the story as well. I found myself playing this game 3 different times, 3 different ways, and having a different experience each way. It was just a blast to do. It's a shame that I've yet to meet the end, because in all 3 of my playthroughs, I get near the end. And when it finally seemed like I was going to get it in my last playthrough, the game corrupted because of a Steam issue where Steam didn't sync it to the cloud. So I'll sit down and beat that game soon enough, probably after my Let's Play of The Witcher 1. Number 2, Deus Ex Human Revolution. I loved Deus Ex, the original, and just when my friend introduced me to it, when back in 2010, I would say, I fell in love instantly. It was a game that really had an RPG element that allowed me to choose my path. A lot of games are advertising the whole non-linearity, linear kind of game where you choose the path throughout, but this is one of the games that did it absolutely perfectly. I loved playing through the original, but Human Revolution took the cake. I loved everything about Human Revolution, maybe except for its art style every now and then, but it fits. The cyberpunk world of Deus Ex Human Revolution was glorious. The plot was excellent. The gameplay, jaw-dropping. I was happy all the way throughout and ended up regretting my choices every now and then because it was a game that made you think. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. It's a game that you should really experience. Same with The Witcher. Boy, oh boy, what's number one, you may ask? Well, I recently finished a project about it. The first real definitive Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword is my favorite game of all time, and I've gone over it plenty of times already. It was just fantastic of a game. I got it in 2011 on release, played it in a few days, and ended up playing it immediately after on Hero Mode. Loved every minute of the game. If you want to watch the Let's Play, it's on my channel now. I go into many different things as the game progresses. I don't think I really have to talk about it. It's my favorite game because it's my favorite game. I just loved it. Loved it so much. Huge fan of the Legend of Zelda franchise, and I plan to probably do a top 10 Zelda games list, although kind of already spoiled that this one's at the top of it. Whoops! I'm been Javier of Chaotic Reunion, and I hope to see you all in the next one, where we begin The Witcher Enhanced Edition. I'll see you all then.